slip in your palm and a hole in your chest. Black coffee on the felt, man, you look like a mess. 3-team parlay turned to dust in your hand. Now you stare at the chips like they made you this man. But don't you go quiet, don't you fade from the floor. Your name still means something to somebody for sure. Put the glass down, baby. Look at me now. Hold on, hold on. Not tonight, not now. Hold on. Let me pull you out. That fella bites hard, but it don't get the crown.
What's up, everybody? It's Toad back with you with Toadstool Sports for Tuesday, July 21st. Do not listen to me. As I keep telling you, we're in this run in the part of the baseball season where I never win. If you want to lose a lot of money, then definitely listen to me. I don't know what to even tell you. Joe Ryan was absolutely abysmal yesterday. I don't even know how you can even predict that against a Cleveland offense that can't do shit. Are you serious? Joe Ryan owes me money, dude. I'm so sick of betting on Joe Ryan to actually pitch well. It's like he pitches well in every single game except when I give out a play on him, and then he's terrible. Fuck Joe Ryan. I fucking hate this guy. What can I say? That game had no chance to go under ever. And Braxton Ashcraft was also bad. Pittsburgh had some chances in that game, but they did not get the job done. They had a chance to have a first 5 win and blew that too. So either way you played that game didn't work out either. We only have baseball today, and I'm trying to find some actual winners in baseball. I'm on the side of the market. I have 2 plays today. They're both going to be in the first 5 because you know how well I've done with the first 5. I'm focusing on starting pitching matchups here, and the market agrees with me on these. That's all I have to say. I mean, something has to turn around here, man. McAdoo, what's up? Nothing is a lock. If anything, these are locks to be complete losses. Fuck Joe Ryan. Nothing is a lock. I would never call anything a lock. I'm trying to find what I think are the best plays, and I was on a massive heater, and now we're below 60% now over this run since I've been keeping track on the screen here. I mean, 60% is unsustainable. We're running at almost 67% for like 2 months. That is unsustainable. So the regression is happening really hard right now. Let me know if my audio levels are all right, because I keep kind of messing with them. It might be a little bit too loud. You can let me know. Maybe I gotta just tone my voice down and kind of just talk like this the whole time. I don't know, man. I'm trying to come up with a way to not push my voice as much, so we will see. Dodgers in Philadelphia is the first game up on TBS early evening. Philadelphia won the game yesterday behind Christopher Sanchez, although I don't think he was that good in the game, but they won the game anyway. Dodgers were coming off a doubleheader and the Sunday night game. And, of course, I faded the other team that was in that spot, the Yankees, and lost. So that was great. Will the Dodgers bounce back and win this game today? I don't know, man. I mean, they're going up against some of Philly's best pitchers here. Dodgers used 2 relief pitchers yesterday. They do have the better bullpen. Philadelphia used a whole bunch. They used whatever that is, 5 relief pitchers. Dodgers have the bullpen edge here. They're the 7th-ranked bullpen. I arranged this by whip. Philadelphia is 20th. Not a very good bullpen. Not one of the worst either, but, you know. Dodgers are still number 1 offensively, and they're very good on the road. Phillies have not been very good offensively. They're 22nd, but they have been better at home. They'll be facing Justin Robleski, who's pitching for the Dodgers here. He's got a 2.69 ERA, 1.02 whip. So he's been solid, although the advanced analytics guys don't like him because he pitches to contact. But he's sustained these numbers over the course of the season so far, so I'm not going to really be able to argue with what he's doing too much. He's a little bit worse on the road, 3.02 road ERA. He did pitch in the All-Star game, so that might be a concern, where a lot of times when these guys are first-time All-Stars, they have like a letdown after that, so that is possible that happens to him here, because I'm pretty sure that was the first time he was an All-Star, and he got to pitch in the game. But he was pitching well leading into the All-Star game. He's had a good season, obviously. He's got a low hit rate, low walk rate. His strikeout rate is also low, though. He just doesn't strike guys out, like I said. That's why advanced analytics guys kind of have an issue with him. He's not the better pitcher in this matchup, though. Zach Wheeler is pitching for the Phillies. Wheeler, he's an ace, dude. I mean, he's come back from injury, and he looks as good as he did before. He's got a 2.13 ERA, 0.89 whip. He is, for some reason, a little bit worse at home, 2.78 home ERA. He's been absolutely on fire recently, though. He's had double-digit strikeouts in 3 straight starts and a 34-3 strikeout walk ratio in the month of July, and the Phillies have won 6 starts in a row that he's made. So, yeah, Wheeler's pitching really well. The team is playing well behind him. He's got a really low hit rate. His walk rate is low. His strikeout rate is high. Everything that you expect from an ace pitcher. And against the Dodgers, though, he is actually not very good. 161 at bats. So they have a big sample size against him. 286 average, 919 OPS, 41 to 28 strikeout walk ratio. That is pretty un-Wheeler-like. So the Dodgers have been able to hit him pretty well. A lot of the damage comes from Freddie Freeman. Freddie Freeman absolutely owns Zach Wheeler, so if you want to look for some player props there, hits plus runs plus RBIs, Freeman is probably a way to look there. He's got a big sample size of destroying Zach Wheeler, so Wheeler might not have the best of his outings here. Robleski, by the way, against the Phillies, has been good in a small sample size, 24 at-bats, 208 average, 708 OPS, 8-0 strikeout walk ratio. So there might be some value in looking at the Dodgers here, man. I mean, that was kind of my thought when I ran this down this morning. I think the Dodgers are probably the way to play this game. You'll get them as an underdog. I mean, I don't love the idea of fading Wheeler, but this looks like a spot where maybe you could do it, and you're going to get the Dodgers as an underdog. And how often are you going to get them as an underdog, right? And the public doesn't even seem to want them, because the public also likes the Phillies, and they like Zach Wheeler. But you're going to have to pay a little bit of a tax when Wheeler's on the mound. Phillies are at about minus 130 something here. 56% of tickets on Philly, 58% of the cash on the Dodgers, though. So the money's backing L.A., and the over for whatever that's worth at 8.5. But I think the way to look at that game is to grab the Dodgers. And I think they have the better bullpen, too. So I think I would make it a full game play. And you're playing an underdog that definitely has a chance in that game with the Dodgers if you do that. All right, Minnesota and Cleveland. Cleveland won the game yesterday 13-4. Don't remind me. It was maybe Joe Ryan's worst start of his career, and it was against a pathetic Cleveland offense. Cleveland, by the way, they were last. They were ranked last in offense, and with that one game, they're back up to 26th. Absolutely ridiculous. Minnesota is the better offense. They're 9th. Cleveland also still dealing with injuries here. Minnesota's bullpen is terrible, though. Minnesota's 29th out of 30 in bullpen whip. Cleveland is 14th, so Cleveland does have the better bullpen here. Cleveland used 3 guys out of the bullpen yesterday. Minnesota only used 2 because the game was just totally out of hand. This pitching matchup looks like it's a huge advantage to Cleveland, but maybe you're having to pay a little bit too much of a price for Cleveland here. Minnesota, I don't think Minnesota's that good of a team. Maybe you could argue they could be in like a bounce-back spot after they were so horrific yesterday. But they're going with Kendry Rojas as their starter here. He might have some talent, man, although his ERA is 2.79, which I'm going to tell you that's misleading because his whip is 1.6. There's like no way that you can have a whip at 1.6 and sustain an ERA anywhere near that low. So we're looking at a small sample size with Rojas here. He's a young guy, and he might have some talent. He's been good on the road, though, sort of 0.96 road ERA. although his road opponent batting average is actually higher than it is at home. But this is what you get when you're trying to figure out like small sample sizes, you know. Rojas, though, even though he's young, he's actually faced Cleveland twice already. So Cleveland is going to be somewhat familiar with him, and he was not good in either of those outings. So Cleveland has the familiarity against him, so that kind of takes that advantage away from him that he would have if he was unfamiliar to them. And he hasn't done well against them. So Cleveland, I think they should be able to get something off of him here. Cleveland has a 316 average and 1,059 OPS off him in 19 at-bats, 7-6 strikeout walk ratio. So Rojas has not been successful against them. And Cleveland is going to be going with Parker Messick, who is their best starting pitcher. 2.73 ERA, 1.07 whip. He's been a little bit worse at home, 3.09 home ERA, but still good. Now, Messick, one issue with him might be that he is coming off pitching in the All-Star game, and he was a first-time All-Star. So, again, I talk about how when guys are a first-time All-Star, sometimes that will, like, throw off their schedule to give them a bit of a letdown coming into the next game. So that's a little bit of a concern with him. The other concern was that he was walking a bunch of guys leading into the All-Star break, so he had some control issues going into the All-Star game. We'll see, but he's generally been really good. He's got a low hit rate. His walk rate's pretty low. Strikeout rate is reasonably high. So his numbers do look good across the board. Against Minnesota, they've been able to hit him for average, 297 average, but they have not hit him for power. 694 OPS, 11-1 strikeout walk ratio in 37 at bats. It's hard to gauge based on those numbers, but yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Minnesota hits him for contact, but they have not really hit him for power. I mean, to me, this looks like Cleveland should win this game, but there are just a few issues with it. Like, you'd want Messick's numbers to be a little bit better. It's a question what he does coming out of the All-Star game. Cleveland, you're probably paying a little bit too much of a price to get Messick at about minus 150. The money is fading Cleveland here. It's 91% of the tickets on them, 72% of the cash on Minnesota. And the money is also backing the over in this game for whatever that's worth. I don't really have a feel for that, but it looks like the money is strongly indicating on Minnesota. I'm not going to come in and do that given what I just showed you with all the matchup numbers and stuff. I still think Cleveland should win that game, but there's no way I would want to put my money on that given the way that looks. So even though if you forced a play out of me on that game, I would still say probably Cleveland and make your own like -1 run line, but I would have very little confidence that would actually come through. I really don't like that game. Pittsburgh and the Yankees got the win yesterday. Even though they were in a horrible spot, they had a doubleheader and the Sunday night game the night prior. They'd used their entire bullpen the day prior. What can you do, man? Pittsburgh had the better starting pitcher on the mound yesterday, and none of it worked out. I'm not happy about it. I thought it was a good play. Now we're in a situation where the Yankees still are going to be a little bit of a rest disadvantage here because that can kind of carry over still. They used 4 relief pitchers yesterday, and all of them had to pitch a second straight game. Pittsburgh used only 3 yesterday, so Pittsburgh still has a more rested bullpen. However, the Yankees have the better bullpen. They're ranked 3rd, and they're tied for the best ERA with the Red Sox. Pittsburgh's bullpen is not particularly good. They are ranked 22nd. Pittsburgh's offense has been very good, though. They're number 2, although they're not really as good on the road. Both teams really didn't struggle too much in putting up some runs yesterday. Yankees are 6th in offense, and the Yankees are one of the best home offenses in baseball. I don't think either team is going to really struggle to put up runs in this game today either. Again, you have bullpens that are really not in a great rest scenario here. Well, the Yankees aren't in a good rest scenario. Pittsburgh, their bullpen's just not that good, and this is not an elite starting pitching matchup by any means. Pittsburgh is going with Bubba Chandler. I mean, he's got talent. He's really young still. He's got the ability to pitch well, but his walks have been a major issue. He's got a 4.77 ERA, 1.45 whip is not very good at all. He's a little bit worse on the road, 4.88 road ERA. But as you can see, he limits opposing bats to like a low batting average. So his problem is clearly the walks because opposing offenses don't actually hit him that well. But he's failed to go 5 innings in his last 2 outings against some pretty good offenses, and he's facing another one here. His walks, though, major issue with the walks. Like, he doesn't allow that many hits. His strikeout rate is somewhat decent, and his walk rate is just really bad. So that is obviously the problem that he needs to fix. He does have an unfamiliarity edge here against the Yankees, so he might be able to do something with that, where the Yankees haven't seen him before, but I don't trust Chandler, so my guess is the Yankees are still going to put up some runs in this one, and the Yankees are going with Will Warren. Warren, very mediocre pitcher, a 4.03 ERA, 1.36 whip. He's a little bit better at home, 3.8 home ERA. He was decent in his last outing at Washington. He's been decent. He's kind of alternating good and bad starts recently, really, if you want to put it that way. His numbers are okay. His hit rate's a little bit high. His walk rate's not too bad. His strikeout rate is pretty decent. Again, it's mediocre stuff. He's a little bit too hittable. And Pittsburgh, though, they have 19 at-bats against him. 6 hitters have faced him. They've done a lot of damage against him. 5.26 average and 13.16 OPS, although 7 strikeouts and no walks. But, again, it's the hitability. Pittsburgh has been able to hit Warren pretty well. I consider putting this one on my card. I just don't know if there's really enough there to actually justify it, but I think this is an over. That's what I would do in this game. The total's pretty high at 9.5. Odds makers are kind of expecting it to be a high-scoring game as well. The money seems like it agrees. 56% of tickets and 94% of the cash on the over. I think that is the way I would play that game, is to take it over the total. Tampa Bay and Toronto. Tampa Bay kept pace with the Red Sox and the Yankees yesterday. All 3 teams won yesterday. Tampa Bay somehow was able to beat Dylan Cease, where I didn't really think Cease was going to be, like in a letdown spot or whatever after the All-Star game, because he was not a first-time All-Star, I'm pretty sure. But I don't think he was that good in the game yesterday, man. Tampa got the win, and Tampa might have the edge here in this pitching matchup today, even though on the surface, maybe it looks like it's a good starting pitching duel, but I think Tampa has the edge in the starting pitching here. Bullpen, maybe not. Tampa Bay used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. Toronto used 2, so normal usage yesterday. Tampa Bay's bullpen is ranked 6th, but their ERA is still kind of high. Toronto's ERA is better, even though they're ranked 12th. So I think there's not much of a disparity between the 2 bullpens. I think Toronto's is debatably better than Tampa Bay's. Tampa Bay is the better offense. They're ranked 10th, tied with Atlanta. Toronto really struggling offensively at 28th. Their offense has been bad. And again, they didn't really do anything yesterday either, which means they might struggle here against Drew Rasmussen, who has been really good, although he has had a couple of bad starts recently, though. He has a 3.26 ERA. His whip is still really good at .95. He's been a little bit better on the road, 3.02 road ERA. He pitched in the All-Star game, but that was not Rasmussen's first All-Star game, or it's not the first time he's been named to the All-Star team. I think it might not even have been the first time he pitched in the All-Star game, so I'm not too concerned about that. What's probably more concerning is he was bad in his 2 starts leading into the All-Star break against Houston and then against the Yankees. I know the Yankees are a good offense, but Rasmussen historically dominates the Yankees, so that was a shocking result there, that he really did very badly against the Yankees in that one. You got to worry a little bit that he might not be in good form. Like, this kind of looks like Christopher Sanchez, who started pitching poorly right before the All-Star break and then wasn't good in the All-Star game, although Rasmussen was fine in the All-Star game, but he only pitched 2/3 of an inning. Overall, his numbers are really good, though. He's got a low hit rate, a low walk rate, reasonable strikeout rate. Doesn't allow a lot of fly balls for whatever that's worth. His numbers have been good against Toronto as well in 99 at-bats, a big sample size here. They only have a 232 average, 690 OPS, 17-9 strikeout walk ratio against them. I think Rasmussen should bounce back and pitch well here. I don't really know if I want to bank on it, but that would be my guess. Toronto's going with Kevin Gausman. Gausman, he was good most of the season. He's been good throughout his career, but he's been struggling recently, and his numbers have gotten worse. 4.33 ERA, 1.22 whip. He's still good at home, though, 3.5 home ERA. he wasn't that bad in his last outing against San Diego, but it's a bad offense in San Diego. He faced two kind of weak offenses in a row. There, three really, in Mets, San Francisco, San Diego. And his walk number went up in the last couple of games. So Gaussman having some issues with his command recently, which usually isn't much of an issue for him. His numbers overall are still pretty good. His hit rate's still reasonably low. Walk rate is still pretty low. Strikeout rate is pretty high. So his numbers are still good overall. He is still a good pitcher, but he's struggled against Tampa Bay in 109 at-bats, 367 average allowed, 859 OPS, 23-5 strikeout walk ratio. That doesn't look that good. Rasmussen has the better matchup numbers there, so I would lean to Tampa Bay in this one. The money seems like it agrees, although Tampa looks a little bit public too. I mean, of course, the public is going to come in on the team with a better record, which is Tampa Bay here. 78% of tickets, 94% of the cash on Tampa. It might be a situation where it's public and professionals all coming in on Tampa there. I think maybe Tampa in the first 5 might be a way to look at this, although you probably have to pay a little bit more to do that. But I think that's where you get the biggest edge. Just focus on the starting pitching. Because I think Tampa might be at a disadvantage in the bullpen. So focusing on the starting pitching there might be the way to play that. Again, I do have my concerns, though, with Rasmussen's recent form. And you're having to pay a favorite road price if you do that with Tampa. But I think that is how I would play it if I was going to play that game. And the money is slightly playing the over, but the total's low. It's 7.5. I mean, just on the surface, given what that starting pitching matchup is, it kind of looks like more of an under game. But given all the things I just said, playing the under would be a little bit dangerous. I mean, I might, if you force me to give you a lean on the total, I probably would still lean to the under there, just given how that game looks. But I think that there's not a whole lot of wiggle room there if something goes wrong. So, but odds makers are telling you something by lining it at 7.5, which is a very low total, obviously. All right. Hold on a second here. All right. Baltimore and Boston. Both teams came in on a huge win streak yesterday, and the Red Sox were able to get the dramatic win on a Caleb Durbin 8th-inning home run to win the game yesterday. And Chapman had to come in again and put guys on base again, but he still got the save. Kind of lucky maybe because the way that the Red Sox wound up winning, like the final out was with runners on second and third. It was a hard line drive, but it was basically right at the shortstop. So Chapman maybe got a little bit lucky in that one, but the Red Sox continued their win streak. It's now 14 games, and Baltimore lost a 7-game win streak. And, I talk about when a team loses a win streak like that, a lot of times they'll be hung over into the next game because it's like all that momentum just stops. And you're not used to losing, and now you just lost the game, and it's like you don't really recover from it that quickly. So I think that puts Baltimore in a negative situational spot a bit here. Baltimore used 2 relief pitchers yesterday. Their bullpen had been pitching well during their streak, although I think generally the Red Sox have the better bullpen. Red Sox a little bit more usage yesterday with 3 guys coming out of the bullpen, but the Red Sox are the number 2 ranked bullpen in baseball, tied with the best ERA, tied with the Yankees for the best ERA, I should say. Baltimore's bullpen is still middle of the pack somewhere. They're 10th now, so they have been getting a little bit better. Red Sox offense has been improving. They're up to 20th now. Baltimore is 16th. Baltimore tied with Texas. Red Sox tied with the Reds still. Do with that info what you want, but there's not a huge disparity between these two offenses right now. In fact, during the win streaks, the Red Sox offense has hit for the much higher batting average. Baltimore was just getting a bunch of home runs during their win streak, which is a little bit more fluky than being able to hit for average. Like the Red Sox doing it by hitting for average is a bit more sustainable in my opinion. This starting pitching matchup, Baltimore is going with Kyle Bradish. He's an all right pitcher, 3.61 ERA, although his whip isn't really that good, 1.35. He's a little bit worse on the road, 4.06 road ERA. He was pitching pretty well recently, though. Like most of his recent starts have been pretty good, so he's in reasonably good form right now. He's got a pretty low hit rate, although his walk rate is very high. So that's his main issue is the walks, really, really bad. Strikeout rate is pretty good. He induces a lot of ground balls, too, which might come into play in Fenway because it's a more hitter-friendly ballpark here. His numbers against the Red Sox are not particularly good. 39 at-bats, 256 average allowed, 956 OPS, though. So the Red Sox have definitely hit him for some power here. 13-5 strikeout walk ratio. Bradish might not do particularly well here. He's in the worst of his home road splits. It's not a particularly good matchup for him. He's very walk heavy, and the Red Sox are going to have Roger Suarez coming back from the disabled list here, or whatever you want to call it now. He had some sort of groin issue. I don't know if it was like a strain, a pull, whatever it was. Suarez has had a good season so far with the Red Sox, though. 3.15 ERA, 1.16 whip, so it'll be good that the Red Sox are getting him back. He's been a little bit worse at home, though. 3.86 home ERA, but opponent batting average pretty similar between home and road. He wasn't that good in his last start where he got injured against Anaheim, but he was pitching well leading into that, so he was in pretty good form leading into that. And the Red Sox still won that game where he got taken out with the groin thing. He's got a low hit rate on the season, a low walk rate as well, and his strikeout rate is high as well, so his numbers across the board are pretty good here. Against Baltimore, he's been pretty good in 53 at-bats, 226 average, 737 OPS allowed. Too many walks, 15 strikeouts, 11 walks, but 9 walks from Pete Alonso, which is kind of odd because Alonso has not hit him well, but a lot of walks. Maybe some of them are intentional, I don't know. But that doesn't worry me that much. I think just generally these numbers are pretty good from Suarez here against this Baltimore offense. I would have to lean to the Red Sox here. No bias in it, even though I want them to win because I'm a fan, but the money is also not agreeing with it. I thought the Red Sox might not win yesterday, and maybe they shouldn't have. Baltimore had 4 errors in the game yesterday, so the fielding was kind of a problem for Baltimore yesterday. Red Sox are about minus 140 or so here on the money line here, a little bit less than that maybe, but the money's fading them. 86% of tickets, 76% of the cash on the Red Sox. So the money is saying to grab Baltimore as the underdog. Based on what I just showed you, though, I think I would lean to the Red Sox in this one. Not a strong opinion for me, though, but I think they have the situational edge, the starting pitching edge, and the bullpen edge, but slight. It's slight. Money also playing the over at about 8 or 8.5 there. I don't really have a feel for that, for the total there. All right. San Diego and Atlanta. I was correct about this game being low scoring yesterday. I thought that it might be an under, and it was. This feels like it might be kind of an under type of series because you have 2 good bullpens. Both offenses have some questions to them. This starting pitching matchup here, though, I don't know. This one kind of looks a little bit one-sided here. As far as the bullpens are concerned, both are good. Atlanta used 2 guys yesterday out of the bullpen. San Diego used 3. I believe Atlanta won the game yesterday, 3-2. Yes, so Atlanta won in a close game yesterday. Atlanta's the number 1 bullpen based on whip. They're right up there in ERA as well. San Diego's ranked 9th. I think San Diego's like a top 5 bullpen as well, though. Atlanta, they're 10th in offense, tied with the Rays. They're a decent offense. They're definitely better than San Diego. San Diego's tied in last place, 29th right now with the Mets. San Diego's going with Walker Buehler on the mound here. Buehler, he's really in bad form recently. He's not really having a good season overall. Again, he's a guy where it just looks like he's never going to really come back to what he once was early in his career. He's had too many arm injuries and stuff, and he's just not been able to bounce back from it. Tommy John surgery and whatever. 5.36 ERA, 1.44 whip. Not good. He's been bad on the road, 6.5 road ERA. So you take him out of the Padres pitcher-friendly ballpark, he gets significantly worse. He's been bad. This month he's been absolutely terrible, actually. In 3 starts in July, he has an 11-9 strikeout walk ratio in 11 innings. He's allowed 20 earned runs over that span and 6 home runs and 17 hits. Yeah, he's not pitching well at all right now. He's got a high hit rate on the season. His walk rate is mediocre at best. His strikeout rate is okay. Not really a whole lot to like here with Buehler, and his numbers against Atlanta are also not very good. In 86 at bats, 326 average allowed, 811 OPS, 22 to 6 strikeout walk ratio. So I don't think Buehler's going to do particularly well here. Atlanta's going with Ronaldo Lopez, who rejoined the starting rotation recently after he was coming out of the bullpen for a while. He's not what he was earlier in his career, but he is doing okay. He's got a 3.5 ERA, 1.26 whip. He's been better at home. He has a 3 ERA at home. Wasn't particularly good last time out at St. Louis, which is not really that intimidating of an offense, and it was a pitcher-friendly park, but his last 3 outings have all been decent, and he's got 5 innings in all 3. And St. Louis was facing him for a second time in 3 starts, so they were a little bit more familiar with him for that reason. So maybe that's why he struggled a little bit more. Look at his overall numbers. His hit rate is low. His walk rate is too high, though. His strikeout rate is not really that great. So the walks are a bit of a concern. He's not really fooling anybody at this point. But he's going up against a weak San Diego offense. Although San Diego has not been that bad against them, 286 average, 724 OPS is not really that high, though. 12 to 4 strikeout walk ratio. And that's in 70 at-bats. I think Atlanta is the right side in this one if you're going to look at this game. I think maybe what you could do is play Atlanta to go over their team total because the money seems to be strongly indicating on the over 9 here, even though I know I said it's an under-looking series, but this game is not particularly under-looking. Yeah, I think Atlanta to just get to Walker Buehler, that might make the most sense here to go Atlanta over their team total. You'll probably need them to score 5 runs, maybe 6, which I know it's a little bit of an ask, so I don't know if I'd really want to even do that. But Atlanta, if you're going to play them on the money line or whatever at minus 140, it looks very public. It looks maybe too easy to do that. 82% of tickets, 83% of the cash on Atlanta. Although I know going with Atlanta over their team total isn't really that much different. Like, you're still kind of expecting them to win the game if you do it that way. But, yeah, I mean, it's a different market, though, different price. But, yeah, it looks like Atlanta is a public side, although my lean would still be towards Atlanta in that game. I think they have the upper hand in the starting pitching, probably in the bullpen as well, and in the offense. So, yeah, that's the way I would look at that game. Wouldn't want to actually do it, though. This next game I considered putting on my card, Mets, Milwaukee. Milwaukee won the game yesterday 8-3. I think Freddie Peralta was not good again, even though he was going up against the team that got rid of him. He still didn't pitch well, it looks like. Very, very unfortunate, man, because I've been a fan of Peralta throughout his career. Like, he's been a guy that you could bet on in a lot of situations, and he can make you money, but not anymore. He's on my bad side now after I tried that a couple times this year. Milwaukee's 3 relief pitchers yesterday. Milwaukee apparently has Lance McCullers now. I didn't even realize that. Houston, I guess, got rid of him. The Mets only used 1 guy out of the bullpen yesterday. I think the Brewers are the better bullpen, though. They're ranked 8th. The Mets are 11th. Neither bullpen is very bad. In fact, the Brewers are good. The Mets are an all-right bullpen as well, but Brewers are the better bullpen. Brewers are the better offense. They're tied in 7th with Miami. The Mets are tied in last place, as I said, with San Diego. But I think the starting pitching matchup in this game favors the Mets, and you're going to get them as an underdog if you like that. The Mets are going with Zach Thornton, and nobody really knows who this guy is. He's a young left-hander. He's looked pretty good so far, though. He's got a 2.6 ERA and .92 whip so far, although he hasn't been good on the road, 8.31 road ERA. But it was only 1 start. It was his first start of his career. It was on the road against Washington. And I know Milwaukee is a pretty intimidating offense, too. But maybe Thornton, first start of his career. I think that was his first major league start of his career. Yeah, it was. Maybe he had some jitters or whatever, because since then he's looked really good against Philly and against the Red Sox, allowing 1 run over his last 13 innings of work. That's pretty good, dude. Although the Mets have lost all 3 of his starts. Those last 2, they gave him absolutely no run support. But he looks good, and Milwaukee's never faced him before, so that should be an extra advantage to him. These young pitchers, the offenses that haven't seen him have to figure them out on the fly. So I actually like Thornton. I think he might pitch well here. And he'll be going up against Brandon Sproat, who has not really had a good season, although I think Sproat has more talent than what his numbers would suggest. Like, I think he's better than his ERA makes him look. 5.16 ERA, 1.37 whip is not, like, egregious. He's not been good at home, though. 6.25 home ERA, so he's in the bad of his home road splits here. Wasn't particularly good in his last 2 road starts either. So he's not really in great form right now, not really going that deep into some of these outings. You look at his overall numbers, though. These numbers are really not that bad. Like, his hit rate is low. His walk rate is too high. So that's his one issue is the walks. His strikeout rate is high, so he does have the ability to fool major league hitters. The Mets have never seen him before. And it's interesting because he used to be on the Mets, and the Mets traded him away. I think he was a rookie with the Mets last year. I don't even think that was enough to qualify as a rookie, but he was on the Mets last year. That's where he started his career, and now he will be facing the Mets for the first time since they got rid of him. So I like the Mets in this game, in the first 5, I would say, like focusing just on the starting pitching, but my problem with it is Sproat, I think, might be a little bit undervalued. And he's unfamiliar to the Mets, so they might have to figure him out on the fly. Although I know him being on their team, they're probably somewhat familiar with what he has and what he throws at you, but they haven't really seen him in an actual game before. And Sproat, like I said with Peralta yesterday, although it didn't work out for him, but Sproat, he's a young guy, dude, and the Mets are the only team that had him prior to this year, and I think he thought he was going to start building his career with the Mets, and they traded him away. So Sproat might be a little bit extra motivated here to go against the team that got rid of him and want to prove something. So that's kind of the issue that I have with this. Like, if I was going to play this game, I would play the Mets, though, in the first 5. And you're going to still get them as an underdog, most likely. For the full game, Milwaukee's like minus 140 something. I think you're still going to get the Mets as an underdog in the first 5 here. 85% of tickets on Milwaukee, 62% of the cash on the Mets. So the money is agreeing with the Mets in this game. And yeah, that's still the way I would play it. If I was going to play it, I would take the Mets in the first 5. You'll get them as an underdog. And I think you're getting an unheralded, under-the-radar starting pitcher there. But again, there are some reasons to maybe like Sproat in this game too, though. The full game totals at 8.5 or 9, so it could be a game where maybe you look towards an under. I know that total's kind of high to really want to look for an under. The odds makers are kind of pointing against it being an under a little bit, but I think you have 2 starting pitchers that are either unknown or maybe better than people think they are, so I think an under might be maybe in consideration in this game as well. Although, again, the money is definitely hitting the over. 68% of the tickets on the under, 82% of the cash on the over. Do what you want with that, but I think my preference in that game would still be Mets in the first 5, and getting them as an underdog seems pretty solid. San Francisco at Kansas City. Kansas City won the game yesterday. They've been playing a little bit better recently. They won 4-3 yesterday. Not that San Francisco's a very good team, though. Kansas City used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. Their bullpen is awful. San Francisco used 4. Kansas City is ranked worst in baseball in bullpen. Really, really bad. Their ERA is second worst to the A's, but it's close. They're a bad bullpen. Who are they facing? Oh, yeah, San Francisco. San Francisco, their bullpen's ranked 24th. They have definitely struggled a bit this year, too, but better than Kansas City. San Francisco, I don't like their offense, as I keep saying. They're tied in 14th right now with Houston, but I think San Francisco's offense is going to see a drop-off again, although they might be able to do something in this series, given the pitching that they're facing and the fact that this is a more hitter-friendly ballpark now. Kansas City is ranked 18th in offense, so Kansas City hasn't really been that good offensively either. San Francisco's going with Tyler Mahle on the mound here. Mahle, he's not very good, man. 5.31 ERA, 1.46 whip, and he's been really bad on the road. He's been absolutely horrible on the road. 8.45 road ERA with a 350 opponent batting average. Completely version of Mr. Hyde, man. From him on the road, you better hide because he's been bad. He was pretty good in his last outing against Colorado, but he was bad in Coors Field in the start prior to that, bad at Arizona the start before that. And in fact, if you look at his road starts, he's only had one that wasn't awful, and it was good. It was at Tampa Bay, so that's not bad. But every single other road start he's made this year has been bad. So, yeah, he's not good on the road. He's got a somewhat high hit rate here. His walk rate's not particularly good. Strikeout rate is okay. But, yeah, I mean, there's not a lot to like with him. And on the road, really nothing to like about him. He's been good against Kansas City, though, in 54 at-bats, 222 average, allowed 625 OPS, 14-1 strikeout walk ratio. So maybe this is a matchup that might, help him out a little bit, but I still kind of lean towards him not pitching well here. Kansas City's going with Luinder Avila, who's a very young pitcher who I think might have some talent here, but he hasn't really been good so far. 5.08 ERA, 1.62 whip. He's been really bad at home. 9.68 home ERA with a 380 opponent batting average. That is really bad. He's really struggled with the walks. He's had a couple of starts where he got really hit around too, but mostly it's been the walks that have been the issue. His hit rate is a little bit high. His walk rate is very high. His strikeout rate is okay. So I think he does have some talent and some ability to fool guys at the major league level, but he's been very, very wild, and that's been the major issue with him. Maybe he could do a little bit better here against San Francisco, although he's in the bad of his home road splits here at home, which is not good. But San Francisco, not a particularly good offense, and they haven't seen him before, so maybe he'll have a little bit of an edge because he's unfamiliar to them. I still think if I was going to play this game, I still think the over probably makes the most sense here. I mean, you're looking at a couple of bullpens that are not very good. Kansas City's is terrible. The money seems to be strongly indicating on the over right now. 65% of tickets on the under, 85% of the cash on the over. The total's at 9.5, which is, I think, reasonable for this matchup in this stadium here, which is now more hitter-friendly. If I was going to play this game, that's what I would do. I would go over, but you saw the issues that I have with it are the starting pitching. The matchups for these starting pitchers might actually be okay, and that's like the one concern I would have with it, but still, you're looking at really bad home road splits for both starting pitchers in this one. Bullpens are definitely vulnerable, so yeah, I think the over makes the most sense there. San Francisco's a road favorite at like minus 112. They probably don't deserve to be. I know Kansas City's a very bad team, but San Francisco's not that good. 53% of tickets, 51% of the cash on San Francisco, so the money seems to be indicating towards Kansas City. I don't have a good read on the side, although I would say that if you're going to take Kansas City, I would only do it in the first 5. There's no way you want to back their bullpen. So that's what I would say, although they might flip to a favorite if you play them in the first 5, though. All right, White Sox in Texas. Texas lost 10-3 yesterday. So these Texas home unders have kind of gone away. I don't know if part of it is just that the weather's getting warmer, but Texas, I mean, they've played in the stadium for a couple of years now, and you've seen the stadium be low scoring. So I still don't really think this is like a trend that's going to necessarily continue long term, Although the White Sox are a team that is a capable offense, White Sox used a lot of relief pitchers yesterday. They used 5. Texas used 4. So both bullpens saw some usage yesterday. Texas's bullpen has been falling off badly. They've been surprisingly bad recently because I think they're a good bullpen and they were good last year, but they're 16th right now. They're not pitching well right now. The White Sox are right behind them at 17th and have a better ERA and actually the same whip. So actually the White Sox should be ranked above Texas now. The White Sox might actually be the better bullpen out of these two teams right now. White Sox are 12th in offense. Texas is 16th, tied with the Orioles. I think, White Sox are probably the better offense here. Starting pitching, the White Sox are going with Noah Schultz, who I think at some point Schultz is going to be better than he is right now. He's got a lot of height. He's got a weird arm angle. His pitches are kind of tough to pick up, as far as I can tell. And he's got a decent pitch mix, but he's struggled so far. And I think a lot of it has been he's been wild. He's got a 5.6 ERA, 1.36 whip. That whip isn't really as bad as his ERA looks. But he hasn't been good on the road. 6.35 road ERA. That's not good. He was pretty good in his last start against the A's. Was struggling a bit in the few starts leading into that one, though. He's got a low hit rate, so that's good. He's not really that hittable, but his walk rate is too high. Like I said, his strikeout rate is just okay. But, yeah, it's been the wildness has been the issue for him. And if he can clean that up, I think he's going to be a decent pitcher. Texas has pretty much never seen him. Only Elias Diaz has ever faced him. He's 0 for 2 with a strikeout and no walks against him. So Schultz does have an unfamiliarity edge here, at least, where the opposing offense might struggle a little bit to figure him out early because they haven't seen him before. Kumar Rocker is pitching for Texas here. He's a bit more established than Schultz is, but Rocker has been not excellent. He's been okay. He's got a 4.4 ERA, 1.37 whip this year. Not horrible, not good either, obviously. He's a little bit worse at home, 4.91 home ERA, but you'd think he'd be better at home because it is more pitcher-friendly, but not recently. He got kind of lit up in his last home start against Houston. Wasn't really good in the one prior to that either against Detroit. Although his command numbers have actually been good recently, so he hasn't really been walking guys recently. He's just been too hittable. If you look at over the course of the season, it's kind of been the opposite a little bit. His hit rate isn't really that bad. His walk rate really isn't that bad, but like slightly high, I guess I would say. And then strikeout rate is not anything to write home about, but he's not really a strikeout pitcher. But I do think he's an okay pitcher. Against the White Sox, they have 9 at-bats against him. 4 hitters have faced him. They're only 1 for 9 with no extra base hits, 2 strikeouts, no walks. So you can figure that out, a 111 average and 222 OPS. Yeah, I mean, this game is pretty hard to predict. I don't even know what I would want to do with it. Both pitchers are a bit hard to predict here. Market read is definitely indicating on Texas. 59% of tickets, 91% of the cash on them at about minus 130. So the money is saying to play Texas here. I don't have a good enough read on this. The money is somewhat indicating towards the over 8.5. I think this could be an under. Maybe you go first 5 under. I mean, it seems weird for me to want to avoid Texas's bullpen, but maybe that is what you want to do here, man. I avoided Texas's bullpen the other day, and their starting pitching wasn't good enough for me in that game with Valdez, so I'm not happy about that either. But, yeah, I mean, I could see this being a first 5 under maybe. I mean, I think you have 2 young pitchers that might be able to do something in that game. I would not want to have my money on that, though. I mean, that's a game I'm just going to avoid. The strongest market read is on Texas in that one for what that's worth. Next game up is you're going to get to one of my plays here. I'm being pretty selective here, man, and my plays are a bit later. This next one's going to be one of them. We're going to take the Detroit Tigers in the first 5 here. You can get it at about minus 104, so it's a reasonable price on this. I think we have a pretty big starting pitching advantage in this one, even though I know it's Framber Valdez, and I've had some success in backing him, but not a whole lot. Chicago did lose the game yesterday, 8-6. Cubs are generally the better team. I will admit that, but this starting pitching matchup does not favor the Cubs at all. So I'm going to jump in here on Detroit in the first 5 here, even though Detroit did win the game yesterday. The bullpens, I just don't want to back either bullpen here. Detroit used 5 relief pitchers yesterday. The Cubs used even more than that, though. The Cubs used 6, and the Cubs are struggling out of the bullpen recently. That was an extra inning game yesterday. But I'm just going to not try to deal with the bullpens. I'm just going to focus on the starting pitching here. The Cubs are 15th in bullpen right now. They've been struggling. Detroit is 18th, although they have a better ERA. But, you know, you could make the argument Detroit has a bullpen edge here, but if they do, it's pretty slight. So I'm just going to focus on the starting pitching, like I said. Cubs have the better offense. They're 4th. Detroit is 19th. But, again, I think pitching can kind of counter the hitting here. And we're going to back Framber Valdez, even though I know he's not having the best season here. 4.1 ERA, 1.32 whip. He's been slightly better on the road. 4.06 road ERA. Those opponent batting average is slightly worse on the road, but he doesn't really have extreme splits. Now, he struggled a little bit in a couple of recent starts. He had a couple of good ones against Houston and the Yankees, and he was bad against Houston and Texas. He bounced back, and his most recent start was really good against the A's, so you might be able to argue that he's kind of coming back into form here. At least it's a good sign that he had a good start in his last outing against an A's team that is a good offense, although they've been struggling recently. But you look at Valdez, you look at his overall numbers here. His hit rate is okay. His walk rate's not really high. And I think a lot of times he struggles with the walks, so it's not bad to see the walk rate being low like this or lower than usually it is. But his strikeout rate is low. One good thing, though, is he induces a lot of ground balls. So we're not dealing with a wind blowing out situation in Wrigley this time, though you can tell based on the total not being that high here. So we don't have to worry about that much, but it's still not a bad thing. I don't think that Valdez gets a lot of guys to hit ground balls. And against the Cubs, he's had their numbers. So this is kind of what sealed the deal for me. The Cubs have 32 at-bats against him. They have one extra base hit against him, a double from Carson Kelly, 12 strikeouts, 3 walks, 125 average, 356 OPS. So Framber Valdez has dominated these Cubs hitters when they've actually faced him. So I think that looks good to me. And we're going to fade David Peterson, which I think is always a good idea. Peterson, he got traded to the Cubs or whatever, but this guy sucks, dude. I mean, come on. He's got a 6.45 ERA, 1.64 whip. I mean, you know that I've been talking about how bad this guy is on the show for a long time now. Even when his numbers looked good and when he was on the Mets, I'm like, he's not good, dude. And yeah, he's not. He's been atrocious at home this year, 8.84 home ERA with a 337 opponent batting average. However, a lot of that is with the Mets. Not that much of it is with the Cubs. But if you look at what he's done with the Cubs, he's only had one home start with the Cubs, and he got obliterated in that start by the St. Louis Cardinals. And that's not a great offense, really. So that's not a good sign. His one home start was terrible. He looked fine last time against Baltimore, but he still walked a bunch of guys, so his walk rate has still been really bad. Over his last couple of starts, 5 strikeouts, 7 walks. Yeah, that's not going to cut it. He's not pitching well. He's got a high hit rate on the season, a high walk rate. His strikeout rate's not really high. There's really nothing to like about Peterson other than the fact that he does induce a decent amount of ground balls. Detroit doesn't really have much experience against him. They only have 3 hitters who have faced him, but they've had success. 375 average, 1194 OPS with a Torres home run in there. But I just don't care. I don't even think it matters if he's unfamiliar to an opposing lineup or not. I mean, he's not new to Major League Baseball. Like, these guys know who he is, and he blows. So we're going to take Detroit here in the first 5. I think this is a starting pitching mismatch here, and we're getting them at a very cheap price. 58% of the tickets are on the Cubs, 94% of the cash on Detroit. So the market read seems pretty strong on the Detroit side here. That's full game, but I'm fine with that because they're at least correlated. The total's 8. Money coming in on the under in the game, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, I think this is the right way to play this. I think the starting pitching is, which is what we're isolating here. I think that is heavily in favor of Detroit here, and you're getting a cheap price on it. So let's finally get some wins here again, man. Dirty Sock, what's up? I have no idea why anybody wants to listen to me at this point. I'm going to take a break. I'll be right back. Hopefully I can fix my voice a little bit. I have one more play to give out, which is another first 5 play. And knowing me, you can probably guess what it is if you look at the remainder of the board. It's not difficult to figure out what my remaining play is, I don't think. I'll be right back. Yep. Inside, I want to kill myself. We are on an 0-7 run over the last 2 days. After tonight, it was just complete bullshit. So that's how I'm going to start off this show. Horrible Sunday, 1-5. I don't even know what to tell you about that. I just don't want to do this anymore. I have never seen anything like this, man. With the slump continuing, 2 straight losses, not a good day at all. 0-4. I just have not had a good season, man. What can this slump that I'm on, the slump continues. I've reached a new peak, actually. I'm going to burn my Bruins hat, man. I don't know what is going on with the Bruins. March 8th, is that what it is? I don't even know. It's March 9th, I think. Who even knows, man? I don't know what day it is anymore. I don't even know what day it is anymore, man. Back with you after the worst day that I could possibly have. Back with you, as I always am. Until I die, at least. 0-2 yesterday, and yesterday did not go well for me. 0-5. The worst month that I've ever had in my 18 years doing this. I don't know what to even tell you about this anymore. Broke the slump yesterday. The slump just continues. The slump continues. Somebody fucking kill me, please. I don't even know what I should do at this point other than potentially end it all. All right. Next game is Miami and Houston. This game looks kind of unpredictable to me. Houston won the game yesterday, 8-5. They ended a four-game losing streak. Yeah. So when a team ends a losing streak, sometimes they will be in a better spot, and it'll give them some positive momentum coming into the next game. Miami, they've been kind of struggling recently. Miami used 2 relief pitchers yesterday. Houston used 4. Miami does still have the better bullpen here. Miami is ranked 4th. I don't think they're quite that good, as I keep saying, but they're a pretty good bullpen. Houston is 19th. Part of it because they're really bad early in the season. I think they're pretty much a mediocre bullpen. Miami is 7th in offense, tied with the Brewers. Houston is 14th, tied with San Francisco. I don't think there's that much of a gap between these two offenses, though. I think you might be able to argue Houston's is actually better. The starting pitching, I think there's more upside with Houston's starting pitcher here is what I would say here. But it's just, yeah, I mean, there's just such a spectrum with him, with Imai. Whereas with Miami, I think you kind of know what you're getting with Miami with Tyler Phillips pitching. He's like a converter reliever, and he's been making basically full starts recently, but he's been mediocre. He's got a 3.48 ERA, 1.39 whip is not really that good. He's been really bad on the road, though, 6.53 road ERA, so that's not a good sign here. Only pitched 1 inning in his last outing against Cleveland. I don't know if they just decided to make that more of a tune-up, or I don't really know what that was, because he was pretty much taking on a starter's workload prior to that, so I don't know what they're doing now. Or I don't know if Miami's going back to kind of a bullpen type of game here. They might be doing that. I don't know. He's got a reasonably low hit rate here, but his walk rate is high. He doesn't strike guys out, so overall, not really a ton to like here. Houston has basically never seen him, though. Nick Allen is the only hitter who's faced him. He's 0 for 2 with a strikeout and no walks. So Phillips does have an unfamiliarity edge here. It might not be very significant, though. Tatsuya Imai is pitching for Houston, who's a rookie this year that they brought over from Japan. He's been all over the place, dude. Like, he's looked unhittable at times, and he's been absolutely horrendous at other times. He's got a 6.06 ERA, 1.5 whip. Obviously, that's not good. He's been really bad at home, 7.92 home ERA. That's not good. His last 2 starts were both very bad. 5 strikeouts, 8 walks. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, those are both awful starts. Yet he was really outstanding in the 2 starts prior to that. So, like, what are you going to get out of this guy? Who the hell knows? Again, he looks dominant in some of these starts, and he looks like just absolutely horrible in some other starts. He's got a low hit rate, so he is hard to hit. His walk rate is very high. He's wild. He does have the ability to strike guys out, though. He's got a high strikeout rate. So with a guy who's a rookie like this, and you see numbers like that, it's like, well, if he cleans up the walks, he's going to be pretty good. But we haven't seen him be able to do that yet. Miami's never faced him before, so he does have an unfamiliarity edge here where they're going to have to figure him out on the fly. And he does have kind of a weird windup. He's a small dude, throws pretty hard though. He's like Tim Lincecum basically, which might mean that he's got such a jerky windup that he's gonna like break his back basically, and his career is gonna end like what happened to Lincecum. I don't know. This game, I don't know, man. I mean, this game is so hard to predict. I think maybe the over. If you're going to, force an opinion out of me, I think the over probably makes the most sense in this one. I think neither starting pitcher is really that trustworthy. Total's at 9, which is somewhat high. 70% of tickets are on the under. I don't really see the public coming in on an under in this game. Probably not. 88% of the cash on the over, though. So it does look like there is some market. There are some market indicators on the over. The market is also indicating on Miami for whatever that's worth. 70% of the tickets on Houston at about minus 120 something. 68% of the cash on Miami. I don't think I'd really want Miami here. I mean, it all depends on which Emi you're going to get, right? Like, if you get the worst version of him, yeah, they're going to lose. If you get the best version of him, then Houston should win. I mean, that seems obvious, but I think there's just a huge amount of variance with what Emi can do here. Phillips, I think, has less variance, but yeah, I think the over is probably the way I would look at that game if I was going to do anything with it. Pirates. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it was the right side. I mean, they didn't play that well in the game. It was a close-ish game if you look at how the game played statistically. The Pirates had some bad fielding early in that game that definitely hurt them. So yeah, I mean, the game was closer than the final score looked, but it was the right play, I think, as far as the situation was concerned and the starting pitching matchup, which is why I did it. Obviously, it didn't win, and I don't think it really deserved to win, but I don't know. I mean, I try to analyze, like, was this like a bullshit loss or was it not? That one I don't really think it was, but I still think the handicap is something that works, like, long-term, you know. Washington at Colorado. On the surface, this game looks like an obvious over. When you look at this on the surface, I mean, you got a Coors Field game. You got two bad bullpens. You got two bad starting pitchers on the mound. The total is really high, though. And when you start digging into this, it makes me not love the over, really. Washington did use only 3 relief pitchers yesterday, but they're still not a good bullpen. Colorado used 3 as well. Washington won the game yesterday 7-3, by the way. I don't know if that matters too much, but I'm mostly dealing with matchups here. The offenses are both good. Washington 3rd, Colorado 5th. The bullpens are both not good. Colorado 25th, Washington 27th. So again, all those things make this look like it should be an over with bad bullpens, good hitting, bad starting pitchers on the mound. Miles Mikolas is pitching for Washington. He's coming back from a suspension. I don't know what got him suspended, but I don't even know if he really missed much time because a starting pitcher gets suspended. It's like, whoa, what? Their next start gets pushed back by like 1 day. Oh, okay, whatever. Mikolas is not particularly good. 5.53 ERA, 1.33 WHIP. He's been a little bit better on the road, 5.12 road ERA, although this is Coors Field here. He was pitching okay against the Yankees, and I guess he must have gotten thrown out of that game or something because he shut them out for 4 innings, although he had no strikeouts in the game. But something must have happened in that game that caused him to get suspended. He probably got thrown out of the game. That would be my guess there. Overall, he's got a high hit rate, though. He's definitely too hittable. He doesn't walk guys, so that's good, but he doesn't strike anybody out. And he's given up a lot of home runs, which is not good when you're pitching in Coors Field, even though he's not even really a fly ball pitcher. Like, he's only slightly skewed towards the fly ball, but he gives up a ton of home runs for whatever reason. He just gets hit hard. So that's not a great sign for pitching in Coors. However, he's been good against the Rockies in his career. 34 at-bats, 176 average, 441 OPS, 7-0 strikeout walk ratio. So Mikolas might actually draw a decent matchup here, and at the very least, he does not give up a lot of fly balls. I mean, I would not want to bank on him pitching well here, but, you know, the over looked obvious when I first looked at this, and then when you dig into this, it starts looking less like an over as you start analyzing this more. Michael Lorenzen is pitching for the Rockies. He's been bad. 6.22 ERA, 1.77 WHIP is horrible. He's been really bad at home. 7.78 home ERA. He was good-ish in his last start against San Francisco, although he had too many walks. His walk rate has gone way up recently, and that's pretty alarming because usually the one thing that he does okay is he doesn't walk guys. But this year he's given up too many walks and too many hits. He's usually too hittable but doesn't walk guys. But this season, both have been an issue, although the hits have been more of an issue. Not really a ton of home runs allowed here, although it's not good either. Strikeout rate is kind of low. He doesn't strike guys out. He is a little bit more fly ball skewed than Mikolas is. Against Washington, though, believe it or not, he's been good. On 18 at-bats, 111 average, 551 OPS, 4.4 strikeout walk ratio is not very good. Only 1 extra base hit from C.J. Abrams, not J.J. Abrams, who has a new movie coming out, by the way, where I don't know, an entire neighborhood gets like lifted onto another planet or something, and there are dinosaurs for some unknown reason. I have no idea. I saw that trailer the other day when I went to the Evil Dead movie the other day, Evil Dead Burn, and that new J.J. Abrams movie had one of the trailers on it. I'm like, this movie looks totally bizarre, dude. But not him, C.J. Abrams. What do we do with this game? I mean, I still think the over probably makes the most sense, but it's a very high total at 13. The money seems to still be indicating that way. 73% of tickets on the under, 90% of the cash on the over. I mean, it is still the case. You have two bad pitchers, two bad bullpens, two good offenses, but you're paying the price for it. I mean, the total's really high for a reason. And like I just showed you, the matchup numbers are actually pretty good for both starters here. So that cuts into that being a great overplay there. So I'm not going to be doing it, although maybe that would still be my lean there. Washington is getting the money at minus. They're about, actually, it's about a pick-em price, let's say. I think Washington might be a slight favorite here. 71% of tickets, 82% of the cash on them. I don't know about that. I felt a little bit better about Washington yesterday because I thought Alvarez, big ground ball pitcher, I thought he was the better pitcher in that game yesterday, and I was correct about that. But, yeah, this game, I'm not going to be touching it. I think over, if you're really going to play that game, might make the most sense, but you need a lot of runs. High temperatures, I mean, not a lot, but generally high temperatures mean more overs just in general, but you don't see that affecting like the lines on the totals too much here, so it's not really that much of a factor. No, it does not really do anything to me. Just as a kind of just a general rule, like I might like an under a little bit more if it's going to be a really cool environment, or I might like an over a little bit more if it's a hot environment, but I don't think it usually puts me on or off of a particular game. St. Louis and Anaheim on ESPN Unlimited. Anaheim, they've not been playing well, but they won the game yesterday 3-2. I didn't think they were going to win that game, really. Although I was actually correct about it being a low-scoring game, though. It was Leahy against Soriano, and they both actually pitched pretty well, it looks like, in that one. Anaheim, not a good bullpen. They only used two guys out of the bullpen yesterday, though. St. Louis, they're not great out of the bullpen either. They used three relief pitchers yesterday. Anaheim is worse, though. They're 23rd. St. Louis is 21st, but their ERA is a bit better than Anaheim's. St. Louis probably does have a little bit of a bullpen edge here. They're the slightly better offense at 23rd, Anaheim 24th. St. Louis is better on the road offensively this year, and Anaheim is worse at home. So I think you do have to give St. Louis an offensive edge here. But the starting pitching, I think, is against St. Louis here because they're going with Matthew Liberatore, and he's not very good. 5 ERA, 1.48 whip. He's not as good on the road either. 5.44 road ERA with a 293 opponent batting average. That's not good. He was good in his last outing against the Braves. That was at home, though. His last road start wasn't really that good against the Cubs. He's got a high hit rate on the season. That's not good. His walk rate is fine. Strikeout rate is okay as well, but he's just too hittable, man. I just don't think he's that good. Against Anaheim, he has been okay, though, in 24 at-bats, 250 average allowed, 613 OPS, 6-1 strikeout walk ratio. So I was thinking about maybe putting this game on my card. I actually like Anaheim in the first 5 in this one, but Liberatore's numbers against Anaheim are kind of keeping me away from it a little bit, but he's been pretty bad, and he's been bad on the road, and I think there's way more upside with Walbert Urania pitching for the Angels here. I don't know where he's been recently. I don't know if they sent him to the minors or they just gave him extra time off, because I think he hasn't pitched for like a week and a half, so I don't know what the deal is here. He's got a 2.88 ERA, though, which is pretty good for a 22-year-old. And 1.32 whip, I know that's not great. Like, it indicates his ERA should be higher than this, but it's not, like, horrible either. He's been pretty decent at home, 3.12 ERA, even though the ERA is worse at home. He has a better opponent batting average at home, 186, and for most of the season he's been better at home. His walks have been a major concern, though. He walked 9 guys in his last 9 2/3 innings, although he only allowed 1 run on 2 hits over that span with 9 strikeouts. So this is what he does, man, at least for now. He's got a really low hit rate. His strikeout rate is decent, but his walk rate is really high. So I know it's a typical profile, but that is what it is, man. And there are some good signs here, right? Like, he's able to strike guys out at the major league level. He gets a lot of ground ball outs, too. And his hit rate is really low, so he's been hard to hit. But the walks have been doing him in a little bit. Like, those walks are definitely a concern. But if he fixes the walks, I think he's going to be a good pitcher. I think he's better than Liberatore. I think his upside is way higher than Liberatore's because he's way younger. He's got some good stuff here. And St. Louis has never faced him before, so he does have an unfamiliarity edge here where St. Louis is going to have to figure him out on the fly. So I think the way to play this game is to take Anaheim in the first 5. I would not want to deal with their bullpen at all. They're going to be a slight favorite, probably a little bit more than slight in the first 5. On the full game, they're like minus 116. You're probably going to be looking at like minus 125 in the first 5, but I think that's somewhat reasonable. And they're an anti-public favorite here. The public is on the underdog. You know I warn about public underdogs. I want to go against them because that means the public is on one side and the odds makers are telling you the other side is supposed to win. 75% of tickets are on St. Louis, 58% of the cash. So public taking St. Louis here. Yeah, I think it makes sense to play Anaheim in the first 5. And that one is one of my better leans. So I like that one, and I like the Mets in the first 5 as well. If I was going to add other plays to the 2 that I do have, I think those would be the ones that I would look at. The market read seems good on both of those too. So the market read agrees with both of my plays too, but they agree with both of those leans as well. So yeah, I would say Mets first 5, Anaheim first 5. A lot of first 5 sides today, man, for me. That's just the way this worked out. A's at Arizona. This game is going to be kind of hard to predict as well. You got 2 young pitchers here that we don't really know that much about. The A's won the game yesterday 5-2. So the A's have won 2 of their last 3 games after they had like 10 straight losses. The A's have maybe turned a corner, and they're maybe out of that slump now, and they're starting to play a little bit better. A's used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. Arizona used 4. Arizona's definitely the better bullpen here, though. They're ranked 5th. Although, again, I don't think they're really that good, but they're obviously better than the A's, who have the worst bullpen ERA in baseball, and they're ranked 26th right now. That is not good, obviously. A's have the better offense. They're ranked 13th. Arizona is 25th. As far as the starting pitching, Jack Perkins is pitching for the A's. He's kind of interesting. He's not really that young at 26, but he's pretty new to the major leagues. I think probably he was dealing with a bunch of injuries earlier in his career or something. He's got a 6.87 ERA, 1.44 whip. I know those numbers are not good, but you have to keep in mind that he has to pitch in that A's stadium, and you know that's going to skew a pitcher's numbers higher than what they should be. He is better on the road, although I know 6.08 road ERA is still not good. Wasn't good at all in his last 2 outings. But there are some things here that aren't really that bad, even though he is too hittable. His walk rate is not great, but he strikes out a lot of guys. His strikeout rate is really high. So I think that's a decent sign. That means he has good stuff. Like, that means he can fool guys at this level. So I think at some point you're going to see his numbers get a little bit better. He did pitch last year, mostly out of the bullpen. And he's been pitching out of the bullpen this year a lot too, but his numbers were actually fairly good last year, other than he had too many walks last year. But yeah, I mean, there might be something to Perkins here. He might actually be an okay pitcher. Dbacks have 3 guys who have faced him, though, and they have done some damage against him. They're 3 for 5 with a Perdomo double, 1 strikeout, 1 walk. Not a huge sample, obviously, by any means, but they've had some success off him. 600 average, 1467 OPS. So I don't know what we're going to get out of Perkins here, and I don't know what we're going to get out of Cole Drake, who is pitching for the D-backs here. He's also 26, and he's making his major league debut here. I was like, okay, well, who is this guy? Well, things don't look good to me, let's just say. I looked at what he's done in AAA this year. He's been pitching in AAA for a decent chunk of the season this year, and his ERA in AAA this year is almost 7. That's not good. Supposedly he's like fixed some problem with his mechanics, and that's why they're calling him up. I guess he's been better recently, but his overall numbers in AAA are really bad. Like, I looked at the numbers. There's nothing to like about those numbers, and I looked at his scouting. He's not a guy that is going to come in and blow people away. He's got a low 90s fastball, even though you'd think the fact that he's 6'5", 220, you'd think that he'd throw harder than that, but he throws low 90s fastball, and he's got kind of a typical pitch mix. He's got like a slurve, basically like some weird combination of a slider and a curve, a changeup, and like a cutter, I think is what he has in his arsenal. I'm not expecting a whole lot from him, although this is his debut. You got to figure out, like, is he going to be nervous? Who knows? But he does have an unfamiliarity edge, at least against the A's. The A's will not have seen him before. I don't really know if that's going to be enough, though. I mean, this guy's minor league numbers are very concerning. They're not good at all. He's got a minus 130, or excuse me, Arizona is like minus 130 something on the money line here. 81% of the tickets, 63% of the cash on Arizona, so the money is fading Arizona here in this one. Money is also playing the over 9.5. Maybe the over makes more sense here, but there's just a lot of variance with these pitchers, so I really don't know what you're going to get here. I think if you're going to play the A's, I think you got to do it in the first 5 only because the bullpen is a huge disadvantage for them. Perkins probably has like the higher ceiling than Drake based on looking at what they can do. You know what I mean? Strikeout potential and stuff like that. Perkins is also already familiar with pitching in Major League Baseball, at least, and Drake isn't. So there might be something to that, although it does mean Drake is going to be unfamiliar to the opposing bats as well. I don't know, man. Money's saying the A's, and I'm just saying if you're going to take them in the first 5, you'll probably get them as an underdog. But, yeah, I mean, I would only do it first 5 if you're going to take the A's because their bullpen is trash. All right, last game. That means this last game is a play for me. Yeah, anybody figure out what this play is going to be? I have no idea what this might be. Last play of the day is going to be the Cincinnati Reds in the first 5. You do have to lay a little bit of juice for this at minus 124. I know they're on the road here. I know they're actually like basically an underdog for the full game here, but that's just how strong the starting pitching advantage I think is here for Cincinnati and how bad their bullpen is. Like, we cannot ride their bullpen here, in my opinion, so I'm not going to do that. They used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. Their bullpen's bad. Seattle used 3 as well. Now, Seattle won the game yesterday 8-0, I'm pretty sure. So Cincinnati might be in a little bit of a bounce-back mode after that. Like, a lot of times you can play on a team that got shut out in the prior game, and you'll get a better performance out of them, and the other team might kind of start overlooking that team. Now, well, yeah, Seattle is the better team here, but I think we're getting the much better starting pitcher here with Cincinnati. We're going to exclude their bullpen, which is awful. They're 28th in bullpen. Seattle is 13th. Seattle's a pretty good bullpen. So, yeah, obviously we're going to avoid the bullpens here if we want Cincinnati. Offensively, neither team has been good. Seattle 27th, Cincinnati 20th. I think Seattle will come around at some point, but for this play, it's good that Seattle hasn't been a good offense, really, because we're going to back Chase Burns here. I know, surprise. Big-time surprise. He's been one of the pitchers that I've backed the most this season. It's been mostly successful doing so. He's been really good. 2.54 ERA, 1.11 whip. And keeping in mind, he has to pitch in Great American Ballpark, which is much more hitter-friendly than Seattle is. He actually is slightly worse on the road, believe it or not. 2.75 road ERA, but that's still really good, obviously. And he should pitch well here. Maybe a little concerning that his walk rate has gone up over his last 5 starts. He's had some control issues in there, but he's still limiting the runs, and he still looks pretty good here. He's got a really low hit rate. His walk rate is still not too bad. His strikeout rate is high. Overall, his numbers are good, and he is a fly ball pitcher, but I think that means it's going to be good that he's pitching in a cavernous stadium like Seattle here. And he's also got an extra edge here because Seattle's never faced him before. So you're getting a good pitcher who's, at this point, I think, pretty much proven himself in the majors. And you're getting him against a lineup that's never had to face him before. So, yeah, that is pretty enticing to me. So we're going to back Burns here. And we're going to fade Luis Castillo, even though I think Castillo is not as bad as his numbers look. He's not had a great season, although he's been better recently. 4.93 ERA, 1.37 whip. If you look at his career, he's obviously better than these numbers. But I still think he's fadeable in this spot. He's been struggling at home for whatever reason. 5.26 home ERA. Wasn't exactly good in his last start at Tampa Bay, although he has been better over his last few starts. So, yeah, he's kind of turned a corner, and he's turned it around a little bit, which I did expect him to do. And overall, he's got a decent strikeout rate. His walk rate is low. His problem has been he's been too hittable. He's given up more hits than innings pitched, which is not good. Cincinnati doesn't have elite numbers off him or anything. They have 53 at-bats against him. They've been mediocre against him. 245 average, 748 OPS is kind of right there in that, like, right around that threshold that I look for. But I like Burns over this, man. Like, I think you're getting a really, like, top-tier pitcher who's unfamiliar to the opposing bats against a mediocre pitcher who the opposing offense is familiar with. So that's why we're doing this. We're going to take Cincinnati in this one. Castillo, by the way, 13-7 strikeout walk ratio against the Reds, and that's all in 53 at-bats. And the money's agreeing with me on this, by the way, as it is with all four of my strongest opinions today, which are all first five sides. 51% of tickets on Seattle at about minus 110 or so, maybe a little bit more than that, although, of course, we have to lay a favorite price with Cincinnati in the first five, but I'm willing to do it. 79% of the cash on Cincinnati. Money seems to be backing Cincinnati here. Now, I mean, the odds makers know that the big advantage for Cincinnati is the starting pitching here, so you do have to pay a little bit for it, but I still think that's the way to go here. And that is my other play. We have two road favorites, two road money lines, at least in the first five. That's going to do it, man. My plays are, and there's no WNBA today, by the way. The WNBA has 6 games tomorrow, and then they're going to go into the All-Star break. So I have a lot of WNBA to cover tomorrow. So the plays today are the Detroit Tigers first 5 money line, Cincinnati Reds first 5 money line. We got to get back on track, man. We got to go 2-0 to get a win today. We got to turn this around. I mean, come on, man. Law of averages. Let's just hit both of these. And like I said, I do also like the Mets and the Angels as first 5 plays as well. And those are kind of my strongest opinions. I kind of considered Pirates Yankees over. Like, that was kind of on my short list. Didn't seem good enough to me, though. There were a couple of games that seemed very over-ish. I think Giants Royals over seems like maybe a decent look as well. So those are probably the opinions that I have that are stronger on the board today. That's going to do it. Learn to Toad on Twitter. Learn to Toad on Instagram. Like, subscribe to the channel here. And then you get notified when I go live. I got to figure out what to do with memberships, man, and what to give them. As I keep saying, I'm open to suggestions and stuff like that. We're on audio as well, so you can listen over there. Apple, Spreaker, Spotify. Covered in Uke is my Uke channel on YouTube. I did just get that updated yesterday. I covered Linkin Park for Chester's, the date of his passing, unfortunately. So I did a Linkin Park tribute cover, and very, very strangely, he died on Chris Cornell's birthday, and Chris Cornell died like 2 months before him. That's very, very strange, dude. I don't know if I believe in coincidences like that, man. I actually did an Audio Slave cover not too long ago as well, so I uploaded that on the same day to Covered in Uke to the YouTube. So check that out. Patreon.com/LearnToToad. I know I have to update the feed there for people. The Spotify feed, I'm like probably 5 or so songs back on that, so I got to update that. It takes a while, man. It's a decent amount of work to get all that stuff done. Gotta convert it all to audio, man. And then Loser Cast will be back tonight. I don't even think I have a loser pick, really. Again, I don't know. Maybe I'll go with Argentina. I don't know. I got to figure something out. I got to look at some weird news. Maybe find something in there. I don't know. Or just maybe I'm forgetting all the things that I've seen on Twitter recently. I think that is it. Oh, and the New York Giants G-Spot podcast. Who knows, man? Be on the lookout for it, I guess. That's going to do it. Do not jinx me. We've been horrible on the show over the last month or so. It's been unbelievably bad. After a heater that was completely unsustainable, but this is unsustainably bad too. I don't know what else to say about that. That's gonna do it. Peace.
But don't you go quiet, don't you fade from the floor. Your name still means something to somebody for sure. Put the glass down, baby. Look at me now.